live, so we're going to be here right now. Alex is getting his headphones in, so thanks everybody for your patience. Alex is here now, and let us know if you could hear us out there. Today, the topic is investing $10,000 into niche sites. So that's the assumption. You have 10K to invest. So we're going to talk through some ideas about that. And we have, well, Mark's not here. So Mark's on vacation, or he called in sick or something, right?
He's on vacation, yeah.
Does he have PTO? How much PTO does he get? He's calling in sick. So, yeah, we have Adam, of course, and Alex Cooper.
Hello.
So we're just going to do a quick little round table here, see what's been going on. We'll start, actually, I'll start because there hasn't really been too many exciting things going on. Just kind of taking it easy over the weekends after the big yard project that I talked about and all the moving of rock. You know, after 15 tons, yard's done. Looks pretty good. A lot of neighbors and people have asked me about it. So it was a big project, successful. My wife worked on the sprinkler system to add like drippers, so it's a very, very low volume. But otherwise, just kind of hanging out over the summer, trying to stay a little bit cool and have some family members coming in town coming up. So just kind of tapering down to take a couple weeks off here. So everything's just kind of stable and calm in my neck of the woods. So
nice.
Let's kick it over to Adam, I guess, because Alex should have many stories. So Adam, what's been going on?
Before we go on to that, Doug, I can only see you on the screen. Are we all together on the screen?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You only need to see me. You only need to see me.
I want to see Adam.
I'm not complaining. I mean, there we go.
All right.
Hey.
Cool. There we go. Sorry about that.
No, we had our in-team meetup event on Friday, which is always cool. We do it every other month where a big chunk of the company get together in person. But even though we do these live streams and we talk on podcasts, I always get a little bit nervous speaking in front of, I think there was about 60-ish people there. I always get a little bit nervous. And then to make matters worse, Mark was obviously on holiday. And then Ian, our operations director, was on paternity with having a baby. And then Dave, the only other member of our senior management team, got into an accident on the way. Somebody went into the back of the service station. He's fine, but I was like, "Oh, this is fine. I know the sales of the business. I can just do Dave's presentation." And when I opened it up, it was literally just pictures of random stuff. Like one of them was just a car. I'm like, "What is Dave trying to say here?" One of them is just a picture of this guy like holding some money and stuff. I'm like, I have no idea what Dave was trying to say here. So that was Friday, and then I had a stag do over the weekend, which was cool. One of my friends is getting married, so we did some airsoft, and then went for a night out, which is cool.
Very nice.
Didn't get too messy.
Got very messy, to be honest. Very messy. Definitely paying for it for the rest of the weekend.
Oh, good. That's how it should be on a stag do.
Indeed. Alex, how about you? You're back a little early. We weren't sure if you were going to come today, but we're glad to have you.
No, yeah, I flew in yesterday. I've been in the UK for the last couple of weeks, back in Blighty, and we had a good time. We went to Bath, checked out the 2,000-year-old Roman baths, or baths, I guess, however you say it. So that was interesting. And then we moved on down to a little village in Devon, Thorverton, which we had a connection with from a long time ago, and spent some time there chatting to the locals and reminiscing of the good old days. And then down to Cornwall to see my parents, so spent a week down there, doing the beach stuff, walking, checking out the local tourist attractions. That was good. And then back up to Appledore, which is a lovely place in Devon again, up on the coast. All the weather was fantastic as well, by the way, so it was nearly as hot as it is here, so that was a bit disappointing. I went for some cold weather. But yeah, then finally finished in Bristol and then flew back yesterday. So just trying to get back into things really, but we still haven't quite unpacked all the cases yet. I've just been down the beach with the kids here, so that's why I was a little bit kind of late, rushed, trying to get everything, sort of trying to wash the sand out of all their crevices and all the rest of it. So
it's all right. Yeah, we were a little late too. I hopped on like 1 minute ahead of time. So yeah, we're getting casual, where we've done enough of these.
Fun.
So All right, I'm going to say hey to the crowd here. And so the topic for today is if you have $10,000 to invest, and I'm sure we could sort of extrapolate that out if someone's budget is a little bit less, but that'll just be a good assumption. I know some people are coming into this and they have some money to spend. And if you have questions or ideas, put it in the chat so it'll give us some other ideas to talk about. That'll be great, especially if you're facing maybe a situation where it's probably unusual if you have the lump sum of 10K to invest and maybe you have to drip it out. So maybe some ideas like that. Chris is on. What's up? And we have Adrian as well, Daniel, Tim, and let's see, Bradbury as well. Very happy to see Mr. Eagle back. And we do have the right beard balance for today. That makes
Alex looks unusually very silky smooth. You literally just shaved today, Alex.
I've literally just shaved. Yeah, I come back. I didn't shave much when I was traveling, so it gets to a point with me, and it just bothers me too much. I guess you probably have to get through that part, but then it starts turning into a proper beard, and then I just don't know what to do with it. Then, so I just get it off. And also, I don't know what to do when it gets to a certain point. Like, if you wanted to shave that off, I mean, how on earth would you approach it? I don't know. You have to go in with scissors or clippers, or I don't know.
Yeah, I'd go to the hairdressers, to be fair.
Is that the solution? Just get the barber to keep it tidy?
Yep.
It's still looking particularly dark. Have you recolored recently?
Yep. Had it redone in my hair. My wife is obsessed with it. She wants to try different colors, and I'm like, nah. It's going great. The thing is, every time I dye it, and then every after I've dyed it now, it's getting grayer and grayer after each dye. So like, it's getting quicker and quicker.
It's fighting back. But I think, a bit of grey gives you an air of, knowledge and wisdom and, that kind of thing. I don't think you should fight the grey. Don't fight the grey.
Not when you're 23 like I am. 23, like, it shouldn't be happening when you're 23.
You're not 23. Are you?
I am. I've been 23 for a couple of years now.
Okay, yeah, so that's it. And in terms of, while I was away, it looks like something happened with Google again. Did you guys talk about that last week? I don't know. But a lot of people, they felt like they were out of the woods. Their site had bounced back, and then, bam, the empire strikes back, and everyone's back to where they were.
Yeah, I can't remember if we talked about it in the session last week, but there were other discussions, and honestly, I talk so much to different people. I can't remember what's been published or not, or when I said it. But a bunch of other people got hit. How about you, Alex? Did you have any impact on your site?
Yeah, my Dart site, the one that did get hit, that then bounced back stronger than it was, and I thought, okay, good, we're doing all right. It will be fine. Seems to have been hit again. Best Corn Pop on my popcorn site is going from strength to strength and seems to be doing well. So I'm trying to figure out what the bottom of it is. My VA Sue did a bit of a research on Dartspick, and it looked like it was a domain that had been previously registered before I got hold of it back in 2005. And then we started looking at the link profile, and there's quite a lot of not very nice looking links. So I'm wondering if that might be a factor. So I'm going to start this week going through those, setting up a disavow file, uploading it to Google to see if it maybe is that. Because other than that, there isn't a lot of difference between the two sites.
Well, and I was going to say, I've talked to a couple people, and some of them are like, high quality, almost purely informational. I haven't seen much of a trend. I mean, I haven't talked to a ton of people, but it seems to be kind of all over the place. Really hard to tell. So, and Adam, what did you see on your end?
Exactly the same as Alex. So I had a site that was hit and then bounced back stronger than ever. And I was like, this is great. And then hit again and back to where it was. And no rhyme or reason for it. I see loads of people in the Facebook groups. There doesn't seem to be any kind of no determining factor, no factor that ties them all together. I think Alex's site uses AI, mine doesn't. Like, I don't know. I can't figure it out. This one.
On
both of my sites have a mix of AI and human written content, so there's no correlation there really, and they're both using the same theme, same hosting.
Yeah.
How about backlink profile? Is the backlink profile strong on the sites you guys are talking about? Adam, why don't you go first?
I don't think. I mean, it's not particularly strong. So this is a site that I bought, and I think it's around about like a DR12. So it's not particularly strong.
Okay.
There's nothing in there that's really spammy apart from the typical, like scraper type websites that just sites pick up in general. There's nothing dodgy in there. It wasn't an age domain or anything either, which so yeah, I don't know is the honest answer. What's going on?
My suspicion is it is down to link profile. Say the Dartpic site does have this history, and I think we found like 1,000 horrible spammy links or something in the link profile. So I'm wondering if that could be a factor. Although the general vibe I'm hearing and the noise is that at the moment Google just seems a little bit broken. It's kind of up and down. The results are all over the place. A lot of sites that are surfacing to the top are not particularly high quality sites. A lot of good sites seem to be falling off, and I don't know. I don't even know if Google knows what's going on.
There's weird things happening in Search Console as well, which I'm seeing weird things in Search Console about sites which are just doing fine, and all of a sudden, you can go into the coverage report and see pages that are indexed and submitted in the sitemap. All of a sudden, all the pages drop out of there, and they're in the index not submitted report, but the sitemap is still submitted. Like weird things like that are going on. And I don't know. I don't know. It does feel like Google's broken a little bit. There's things going on which feel a bit broken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think the kind of general message is though, don't panic and don't try and change too much.
No.
It's probably not your fault, and if it was working before, then there's a good chance it will work again in the future. On the AI approach, I'm really excited. I was editing a video before I went. I didn't finish it, so I'm going to finish it now when I get back. But the article that I created in the tutorial that I'm editing, which is about an hour long, is ranking halfway down page 1 already. If you do a Google for how to remove popcorn from your teeth, you should hopefully find best corn popper, and that is an article that I created with Jasper.
Nice.
And a lot of people actually search for how to get popcorn out your teeth, because if you've ever eaten popcorn, it gets stuck in your teeth.
Yeah. Yeah.
While I was doing some research, I found a story about one guy who nearly died from a bit of popcorn stuck in his teeth. Yeah, because it was in there for so long and he kept picking away at it, jabbing it with toothpicks, all sorts of things. It became infected and became a bit of a medical emergency.
Oh, man. What country is he from?
From the UK, of course. The notoriously bad teeth countries.
Yeah, I was hoping it wasn't going to be, but I also was kind of hoping it was going to be. Yeah.
Yeah,
and
so that's where I'm at with that. So that video should hopefully be up next week. I'm excited about that. And also, you need to do my income reports and stuff. Which, so Best Corn Bob was doing really well. Dartpics was doing well, and then fell off. A couple of other viewers I know, again, got hit. There's a friend and viewer that's got a really busy site, and it got knocked, and then it came back, and then it got knocked again. And it can really knock you in terms of your well-being and your mental health, can't it? I mean, especially if you're depending on these sites for a bulk of your income.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Wasted Talent did say, I don't think it's link profile across my sites. Only a few articles that were hit hard, while some newer posts have boomed and busted. My top pages are still performing. Google definitely feels broken. It's the only explanation for how broadly sites have been affected the same way. And I was going to say, I don't know if I agree with, I don't know if it's the link profile, but most of the people that I talk to, they're like, there's not too many links on the site. Maybe there's some stuff, but not too much. But I'm not trying to gather a bunch of information, but I haven't heard from anyone who's like, I have like a DR55 site and it got hit and it's like doing all this churning. Like, I haven't heard of anybody in the last few weeks with that. Have you guys?
Check my BR now. Hang on.
It doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It's just, if we're only looking at a small set, like we have blinders for everything else. And like I said, I'm not like running a survey trying to ask everybody I know about it. But yeah, generally, especially in our crowd, a lot of people just don't build links. So their link profile is shit. They may get a handful of a couple links, but knock on wood, I've stayed out of trouble in the last, couple years. And my site, the one that I'm primarily focusing on, it has a lot of links. A lot of it was a Shotgun Skyscraper from Niche Website Builders, and then some Haro stuff that Shauna Newman did. Very minor. So, but, it's in the 50s. So different than a DR 20 or a 12, or if you're not building links, like you're probably not going to get very high authority links, most likely. Very rare.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, interesting, both dart picks that got hit, best corn popper that didn't get hit, they're both, according to Ahrefs, a DR45.
45. Oh, okay. Well, my theory's out.
The thing is, a lot of us are just hearing stories and things, and they're trying to kind of see a pattern somewhere. But there's not been any real survey done with a lot of data to kind of see any real patterns. I mean, I don't know, Dartpix has 395 links. Best Corn Popper has 620 links. I'm not sure how it got so many links. I need to dig into that.
So how'd you do? Don't worry, everybody. We'll get to the topic on how to invest 10K. But since this is timely, we'll spend time on it. Alex, how did you get your DR45 for, was it corn popper?
I have no idea. It jumped up really quickly. I registered it and then it jumped up really quickly. I think a lot of it is because I link to the site quite a lot from YouTube. I think that may be a big factor, which is kind of weird. I also think that, and this is probably not a good way to do it, obviously I created the site as a way of showing off our theme, Popcorn. That was why I created the site. And it's great that it's doing really well because that just is testimony to the theme. The thing that Phil did, rightly or wrongly, is in the footer of Popcorn theme, it says created with Popcorn theme, that then links back to that site. And then, of course, that site then links to Best Corn Popper because it's the demo site. Popcorntheme.com, I think, has now got a DR of 71 due to all of those footer links, which I think is not a good idea. Especially when I got into that argument with you know who on Twitter. He then did a Google lookup and he was able to identify all of our customer sites. So you can turn it off. There is a setting in Popcorn theme to turn it off, and maybe we need to switch it to be off by default.
Yeah, I was going to say, I always hated seeing that on themes that I would use, and I would turn it off or be like, I'm not using that theme.
Because it's an easy way to find a ton of affiliate sites.
Yeah. So I was going to say, that's great, the DR45, but the way that you just described the way that it's a DR45, I think we could throw that one out. I mean, that's a very specific link building, footer links, site-wide.
Yeah, it's not
like
it's not natural now.
Yeah. But we still don't know. That's the thing. And no one knows unless they do like a huge analysis. So, okay. Any other thoughts before we move on to the topic of the day? Cool.
Nope, don't think so. Let's go.
All right. So you have $10,000 to invest. And I think there's probably a couple sort of scenarios that we can look at to help guide the conversation. So you're new. All right, so there's like a new person, maybe they built one site, but it hasn't been successful, but generally a new person, a very beginner kind of individual, and then someone who's experienced. So those will be two scenarios. And then another to put into the mix and just insert it is whether you want to start a brand new site or buy an existing site. So 10K, it's enough where you potentially can buy a site that has a little traction, maybe out of the sandbox. So we'll kind of divide it up like that. Or at least put that out there. Again, if anyone has questions in the chat, please let us know. And I'll send it over to Alex first. So you have 10K, you're getting started, and let's say you're pretty new. I think a lot of your audience, they're new, they're trying to get their feet on the ground. So what would you do? How would you guide them to invest this?
If you're new and you're brand new to it, I would start, obviously you need to buy the basics. I would start with a new site. I'd buy a fresh domain name, some hosting, set up the site. And then I would start to create some content myself, keep a little bit of the money to one side. And then maybe once you're clear on how you want to put your articles together and you're familiar with the niche, then you might start to think about outsourcing to writers. And then once you found a good couple of writers, which I think I have now actually, just off on a tangent, I was recently just put an ad up on Pro Blogger, got tons of submissions, and I maybe had like 15 writers that we kind of whittled it down to out of hundreds of submissions. And then out of those, we've now got it down to about 4 or 5 that are really, really good. So yeah, I'll do that process. I'd start by creating the site, write a bit of content yourself, and then maybe put an ad on Pro Blogger, to try and find some writers, and that is going to burn a little bit of money because you're going to have to try out some writers, get some content back, and some of it's going to be unpublishable or it's going to need a lot of editing. Some of it's going to be really good. And then once you've found 2 or 3, or maybe even just one good writer, you can then just start throwing that money at them. That's what I'd do. I don't think I'd spend any money on link building or anything like that, because it seems that you can rank without that.
Okay. Cool. Very good. All right.
I think it's very important to do a lot of these processes yourself before you start outsourcing stuff like writing. I think you need to have done it. Like in any business, if you're going to employ anyone or take on any subcontractors, you need to really have done whatever it is you want that person to do, so that you're able to manage them and engage the quality and all that kind of stuff.
Would you have any targets for like the amount of content to publish, say, each quarter, or a target by the end of the year, something like that?
Let me just do a quick bit of maths. I'd have thought, after all said and done, you should probably, once you set up the site and burnt for a bit finding writers, you've probably still got 8,000 left. And for that, I would have hoped to get about 130 articles, something like that, maybe, depending on what rate you're paying. But I tend to want to pay my writers a good rate to get some good content. And by then, you should hopefully have a pretty good site with that kind of content and start to see some movement.
Okay, cool. All right, and then Adam, I think we'll give you actually same question. So 10K. Assume it's kind of a newer person, not too experienced.
Yeah, I came at this from a slightly different approach. I didn't realize, I hadn't thought of like what Alex was saying about, you should probably write your own content first and then you should do the process yourself. I agree with that, Alex. You should definitely do that kind of stuff. I came at it from a pure, you've got £10,000 that you need to invest, or $10,000 you need to invest today. Like, what do you do with it? And I came at it from a more logical point where I literally made a spreadsheet of, in this scenario, this is how I would break it down in this scenario. So I don't mind sharing my screen and kind of going through that if you want.
Let's look at a spreadsheet.
Well,
be the spreadsheet.
Big old boring, right? It's not massive.
No,
can you guys see?
You don't find spreadsheets boring, do you? You love spreadsheets.
I love them. I absolutely love them. Can you guys see this?
I think you need to make that full screen. I mean, the slick transitions here.
Yeah, let me figure out how to do this. I want that one to be the big one.
Hey, there we go.
Okay, cool.
Does that look good, or do I need to zoom in anymore?
I think we can just about read that, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
We're going a little bit more. Cool.
Oh, there we go. That's perfect now.
I've got a new website. You've got $10,000 to spend. I've gone for hosting. You obviously need hosting, and so DigitalOcean Cloudways, what we use, like $12 a month. You can get it for $120 if you buy it for the year. Free theme. The only paid plugin that we kind of use, or I'd recommend, is Link Whisper. I think it's $77, but it's worth its weight in gold for your internal linking. And then these are some of the other plugins that we use on a build, but they're all free. And then I would split the rest of the money between an age domain, kind of like a DR30, 35. You can get it hyper niche relevant and passes all the due diligence checks. That's roughly going to cost you about $3,000 or $3,500, and then I put the rest straight into content. So you're kind of covering both bases. You've got a good amount of content, and you've got starting from a position of authority and trust and history with Google. You've got a good backlink profile already. So straight off the bat, you don't have to do any link building, and further on down the line, you don't really have to do as much link building anyway. But I'll come on to that in a bit, because I've got this 10K and beyond on the bottom, which is interesting because it's some of the initial data from our data project that I was telling you guys about. And link building definitely becomes more important the higher the traffic levels that you get to. Or that definitely seems to be the trend and the average. So it's maybe not as important up front, but definitely becomes important. So that's how I would split out the spend. If I had $10,000, I needed to start a brand new website today, that's where I would start with an allocation of the funds.
Nice. And where's the 100,000 words for $7,000? Where could you get that?
From us, obviously. That's how much it costs.
This whole thing's just a pitch. He's like,
Well, I did it because
give the 10,000 to you, and it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it'd be different because I own the agency. But if someone was to go out and outsource this, this is what typically, you might get it for cheaper if you put your content elsewhere, but you'd have to do your keyword research and your formatting and uploading and all that kind of stuff. I should caveat this 10,000 words is the keyword research and the formatting and the uploading. This whole thing is basically like a hands-off project. If you didn't want to get your hands dirty, but you wanted to invest 10,000 into a new website.
Cool. Very good.
Cool. I'll stop sharing because there's more below, which I think you're going to ask other questions about later.
Yes. And I'm going to try and figure out how to get our... Okay, now we're all back. We're shuffled up a bit. Just going to leave it like that. Otherwise, I'll end up like turning off the whole stream. So, okay. And for me, I'm going to come at it... This is great that we're all taking a different approach. So I've been interviewing a lot of people over the last 3 years, almost 4 years now. And there have been several people in the last, I would say 6 months that are writing the content themselves, and they seem to be crushing their competition. So I would, follow along with, the general amounts that you guys already mentioned for like hosting and the theme and maybe a couple paid plugins, but not too much. I would probably allocate about 20%, about $2,000 to, a content writer, maybe to help out with some piece of the process. I would write pretty much everything. So this is assuming someone has time. You don't have to be a good writer starting out. Like if you're writing a lot, you'll get better if you're working at it. And I would allocate probably 60 to 70% of it, so $6,000 or $7,000, to link building campaigns like the Shotgun Skyscraper and Haro to just get a strong backlink profile. So I'm thinking to myself specifically where I'm like, I would want to try to write it. There's some people that have writing backgrounds. I think a lot of our audiences, there are people that, they stumbled across our work because they were writers, they had blogs, or kind of in the world of creating content. And they're like, how can I earn money? I'm doing this work for someone else. How can I do it? So I think a lot of people do have those skills, and I highly encourage you to just fucking write it yourself. It'll probably be better. You're going to care about it more. It's going to take you longer, but Alex already mentioned like it's super important for you to have those skills to go through what you're potentially going to hire people for in the future. So I would, and by the way, this is how I started, most of my initial sites that did really well. Now I typically work with agencies and such, but I wrote so much in the very beginning, and it'll really set you apart. I mean, we're talking, a lot of our conversations are like, oh, you could hire a cheap writer and then improve it, or you could use AI and then improve it, or you could just write it yourself and make sure it's really good right off the bat. So I know it'll be slightly controversial, and I know a lot of people have a horse in the race with AI, and they're like, if you just edit it, it can be really good. It's like, it could be so much better if you just write it yourself. And I'm testing the tool, so don't worry, everyone. Like, check my recent videos. I don't know if you've seen them, Alex, but I'm giving Jasper a fair chance.
You did a full tutorial, I think I saw the other day.
And there's certain areas where it could certainly save time, but again, most of the people that I've talked to recently that are doing really well in a short amount of time, they're writing the content themselves, and they're like, I'm doing research, I'm finding the gaps, I'm thinking about the visitor. And you're not going to get that sort of hand holding with a random writer that you hire typically. So allocate a lot of the resources over to link building and stuff that I personally don't want to do. Now, the caveat is like, if you're good with networking and outreach and that's your skill set, maybe you do outsource all the content, but then you work on the link building. But contrary to what other people have said, I think the links are important. And Alex, you mentioned it. You were like, it looks like you can do this without link building. You can, but if you have the backlinks, I think it does lend the expertise, authority, and trust to the website, especially if you put in the time and build relationships. Dude I talked to yesterday named Forrest, that episode will come out in like a month. He he was making, or he got relationships built with the affiliate programs and these different companies, and he asked them for links in some cases. So he's getting like these really nice links just through relationship building. So completely different. Any questions you guys have or holes to poke in that?
Yeah, go on. No, Adam, you go first.
Going back to the needed link building or not, for a number of years, I was always in the camp of I didn't need link building. I could do what I needed to do with content and content alone. But honestly, my mind changed kind of over the last couple of years on that. And going through this data project, and I'll share some of the stuff in that 10,000 and beyond tab in a bit. But going through this project and analyzing and looking at thousands of different content and affiliate sites, you can definitely get to decent amounts of traffic, hundreds of thousands of visitors per month, with very little link building, with low domain authority and low domain rating. However, they're the anomalies. There's anomalies both ways. There's ones which have done a really big job of link building and are not getting the traffic they deserve, i.e. they're way below the average. And then there's the anomalies on the other side where they've done very little link building, they're getting a ton of traffic. But on average, link building does seem to play an important part across these thousands of sites that I've looked at so far. And at different stages as well, at different buckets of their traffic levels, link building comes into play at different levels. So, for example, to go from, I think it's 150 to 300,000 visitors, like that bucket of sites, the number of pieces of content only go up marginally, but the domain rating increases from like a mid 50s to a high 60s, for example. And the only difference between those sites is a tiny bit more content, but a lot more domain authority and a lot more link building.
Yeah, I think you're right. Especially because there's all these long tail phrases that we go for, low competition, long tail question type phrases where you can rank well just by creating content, by creating good content, answering the question, structuring it properly. Yeah, sure. But I've noticed with some of my sites that, once you've done a big chunk of that, you then start eyeing up some of the other, maybe slightly shorter tail phrases where there's going to be more competition against more higher authority sites. And that is when link building certainly moves the needle. So I did an article on can you feed popcorn to dogs? And that's quite competitive because there's a lot of big pet sites that have also got that article. And yeah, however good I write a piece of content on that, I'm not going to be able to compete with them. So I did some link building to that article, and that has pushed it up the search results pages. So yeah, there's going to be a point. I think for starting out, you don't need the link building because you can go for those long tail, low competition phrases, and you do 100 of them, and that will add up to a reasonable amount of traffic. But then you start eyeing up those other phrases, and that's when you're going to need a bit more authority to be able to compete on those. So yeah, but also just to go back to the other thing. I mean, Doug, I didn't think you liked spending time working. But, that's a new thing. And I think I know who you're talking about as well when you say people, we know Matt, for example, is extremely successful with his website, Swim University. He has created most of that content himself. He's not going to outsource that. The quality of the content is so high because he's poured his heart and soul into it. There's also Niche Site Lady on Twitter. I know she spends 6 to 7 hours a day, and that's just for one article that she'll write and create herself for her sites because she knows that the article will be better than pretty much anything else out there. I guess the question is, what if you don't have 6 or 7 hours a day to spend to create a masterpiece of an article? Because there's a lot of us that want to just, spend an hour or two a day just managing our writers and our team.
Yeah.
And so, it really depends. And I guess, if you are going to create the content yourself and put the effort in, then use a bit of that money to live off. Pay yourself for writing the content.
Yep. So, in my answer to that is, this won't be popular probably. There's no fucking shortcuts, right? So it's a trade-off. You have to set your priorities. So, I mean, you're right. Right now, if you got me to try to write 6 or 7 hours a day, I don't know, it'd be pretty tough. But when I was scrappy and hungry and I had a full head of hair just a few years ago, I was like, I will wake up early. I'm going to make a sacrifice. I'm carving out time from these other places. But yeah, there's no free ride. You can't buy your way out of it. Like a lot of people will be like, okay, we can cut corners here and there. Like if you don't cut the corners and do a better job, like probably it'll be better in the long run. And there's anomalies, hopefully someone will contact me and say, I got a site, all AI content. I'm making $5K a month. I haven't heard from that person yet. I keep asking, someone tell me that you're really successful using AI content. They haven't come out of the woodwork. So I don't know where they are.
There is successful people that have outsourced the content.
True. Well, I would, yes, 100%. But in that case, I was only picking on the AI content. but the point is, because I could go on a deeper rant, but generally, like, if you only have an hour to put in, like, that'll be good enough. It'll just take you longer. If you have more time, you can get it done faster, but I don't think you could buy your way out of it. Unless you have a much larger amount than 10K. Then you could pay, a lot of money and have pro writers like write the content that are very good.
But you're saying that basically you're never going to find someone to do the quality as well as you could.
Unless so I'll backtrack on that. At the 10K range for X amount of time, I don't think so. I'm not the best writer, so if I paid someone a fair market price, like I could hire like people with journalism backgrounds.
If you found the right person, which is going to be an expensive process probably to find that one person that is going to put everything in to your content. I mean, they're probably going to do 50 posts and then go, what the heck am I not doing this for my own site?
Right.
If you could find that person that really is going to put the time, the effort, the blood and the sweat and tears, and you're going to have to pay them well. It's not going to be some cheap writer on Fiverr or whatever. It's going to be someone that you're going to be paying, probably not by the word. You're going to be paying them a good whack per article, and they're going to put the 5 or 6 hours in a day for you and produce a level of quality that you're happy with.
Right.
You say that's going to burn through your 10 grand pretty quick.
Yep.
Also, just a caveat there, like you can also find agencies that do that for you. Just saying, like we own one. We've got loads of case studies.
I mean, honestly, Adam, you must know that with your team of writers that, sometimes is the quality going to be to the level that we're talking about in this kind of platinum diamond standard of content where there's been a good deal of hours put in? Because if you're only paying a couple of cents a word, people are not going to be putting in the time and the effort that's needed.
I think it depends on a couple of things. It depends on the topic. If it's a very technical topic, then you're definitely not going to find good quality writers. Typically from any agency. Most agencies don't have a team of specialist writers that can write very technical content. For example, you're not going to get the quality you want. The type of content that we typically write, though, Alex, is the same as that you write, about can dogs eat popcorn and how to get popcorn out of your teeth. You don't need to be any kind of, you don't have to have expert knowledge. You can literally Google it and read about it for an hour, and then you can write your piece of content and be fairly comfortable that you know as much as most other people out there that are writing similar content. So I think it really comes down to what type of content you are creating. They're not going to write a technical manual about, how to, I don't know, a really technical piece, but the kind of content that we are creating are these easier informational-based pieces typically, or pieces that can be researched quickly and you don't have to be an expert.
Yeah. I mean, I see this on Twitter and people say this, and I feel it as well. There are two sorts of content. There's the content that I'm producing for the popcorn site, like getting popcorn out your teeth. Can you feed it to dogs? And then there is the content that we're creating, like the content we're creating right now on this stream, which is coming from us, which we're passionate about, which can't be outsourced because it is coming from within us. And at the end of the day, that content is always going to be more valuable than can you get popcorn out of your teeth, isn't it? So if you really want to build something that is going to be really valuable and is going to pay you dividends for a long time, then it has to really come from you. And I think, Doug is absolutely right there. Like, I can't outsource my YouTube channel. I just can't. The content is coming from me, and I put the hours in to that content for sure. And then if I was going to create a niche site, then I wouldn't create a niche site probably about popcorn or darts, because that's not for me. I'd put my heart into, an Englishman living in Spain or something like that, which, would come from me and would be really high value content. And
I was just literally going to say that. And it depends on what the purpose of the site is as well, right? If you want to create something valuable where you are the face of, and you create a YouTube channel that goes along with it, and you might do a podcast that goes along with it, you are then tied to the brand of that site, whether you like it or not. Lots of people, I think,
I can't sell it. You can't sell it, can you?
No, lots of people get into space as an investment vehicle, as a way of creating a second income, and most people want to exit. And you can create assets which you can exit, where you don't have to be the face of, you don't have to be an expert with, and you can do that fully outsourced. I think, well, I know so because we've done it with lots of people. So I think it just you've got to decide, what are you doing this for? Is it an investment? Do you want to be particularly passionate about the space? Do you want to write the content yourself? Do you want to start a YouTube channel? Where do you want the business to be in 5 years? Do you want to own it in 5 years? Is the plan to sell it after 3? Like, you just got to figure those questions out, and the approach is different then.
They're different things, aren't they? Different things.
Totally.
And let's hit some of the questions in the audience here. So Wasted Talent says, should links be to specific post or the website domain? And I'll just answer that really quick and say both. A good rule of thumb is like 50% to each one. Do you guys have any other opinions on that?
I think I'm just going to say, I think it depends on the stage of the website as well. Like most new websites, you should be building them to the homepage to build domain authority. And then you should start looking at building them to individual posts as and when the content starts ranking. Most content, unless the site is established, like Alex's Popcorn one, where you write a piece of content and it gets indexed and ranks quite quickly, most content is going to take a couple of months to find its natural position in the SERPs. And once it's there, then you can decide, well, it's bottom of page 1, I'm going to start building links to it to push it up a little bit, or it's middle of page 1 and I want to push it into the top 3, for example.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. And Niche Campus says, I think if we just consider link building as an intermediate stage tactic, then things fit nicely together. Beginners should focus on low comp and lots of it, then progress from there. Okay. And then Zach says there's no reason not to combine tactics, do a few low difficulty, some link-bait articles, stats, and other things that reporters care about. Cool. And let's see. Niche Campus also says, sure, but it's like there's a lot to learn at the start. Link building is very different from writing articles, so focus your energies and focus on content in the beginning. Sure. And that's why, for my suggestion, it was like, write content yourself, you focus on that, hire a company that can do the link building. Because typically people don't like doing link building. It's maybe only 5% of people that I've met that are like, yeah, I really enjoy the process. So,
well, it's hard. It's very hard.
Yeah.
And there's no right or wrong way of doing it, and a lot of outreach maybe, or I don't know. It's one of those things that I find is easy to outsource.
Yeah.
And again, but outsourcing it is difficult as well, because there's a lot of sharks in that space, and you can end up wasting a lot of money and getting not a lot back. Or in fact, you could even end up damaging your site if you're really unlucky.
Yeah, I think that's probably easier to do than actually getting
Where's
good
my
links.
hat? I've been wearing the Hoff hat, actually. I quite like it.
And Shane asked about expired domains. So be really careful with expired. I think we call them like premium age domains nowadays, but I think we're all generally for good domains that have been vetted properly. So yeah, you guys are into those generally.
I think Adam swears by them. I've not really had much experience with them, to be fair.
Yeah, I swear by them for building on, but also for link building. So the hard part of link building is, like you say, time consuming to the outreach and all this kind of stuff. You don't have to do that if you can vet an age domain properly and you buy a good one, then you can use that for link building. And rather than spending all month building 5 or 10 links, you redirect in a really good age domain and it's got 400 referring domains, for example. And you've just done 40 months worth of traditional link building in the space of a month, for example.
Cool.
But in theory, you could also build a PBN out of expired domains, couldn't you?
Yeah, you definitely could. There's definitely people who've done that in the past. And I think I've heard that the Hoff, lots of their links come from like their own PBN. I think that's something what they've done.
Yeah.
You buy an expired domain, set up a sort of a site on it, then link to your money sites from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was like the classic way that we were building PBNs in 2013 to 2015. Expired domains.
Yeah,
I remember.
A lot of people still say they work, still swear by them. Say that Google is never going to be able to really get rid of them.
I think it'd be pretty. I mean, like people have reframed it to like having like a media network. So they just have multiple sites, and if they publish and they get a little traffic, like how is that different from just running a normal website that doesn't get a huge amount of traffic, but just a little bit?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Why not link between your own sites, eh?
Yeah. Everybody be careful with that though. So, all right. Quick time check. So are you guys good to go a little bit late today? Cause I see we have a lot of questions, but there's another area to cover.
Let's do the questions. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we haven't spoken about the other option, I guess, with the money is that you could just, go to Flipper, Emotion Invest, any of those places, and just scoop up a little site that's earning a few dollars.
Yep. Yeah. So actually, let's hit that before we do the rest of the questions. So let's say someone's a little bit more experienced. They have 10K, maybe a little bit more, but let's say no more than like 20K. So Alex, you were saying, hey, maybe check out Motion Invest, Flippa. So is there anything that you would advise if someone's looking to buy a site?
I've never really, I bought Darts Picks. I like it because it takes away that kind of sandbox stage. You get a site with a bit of traffic and maybe a bit of revenue, and then you can, in theory, build it up. The other problem is, though, is you don't know the history of the site. You'll be real careful with the link profile and that kind of thing. I don't know. I've never spent that kind of money on a site. Like I've never spent 10 or 20,000. I might have spent a few thousand on a site max. Adam is probably a better placed because I know he's bought some sites for a lot of money in the past.
Yeah, Adam, let's hear it.
Yeah, I think there's a different type of skill set for buying websites. You've got to understand due diligence, and you've got to be able to, like I say, figure out if you're inheriting issues or trouble. That's one side, like what are you inheriting in? And the other side, typically when you buy a website, is you've got to be able to understand what the opportunities are, like where are the quick wins, and that could be around content optimization, that could be around site speed, it could be around optimizing click-through rates for affiliate programs or optimizing display ad placements, all those kinds of things. So I definitely think buying a site is not, or typically not for beginners. I've seen lots of beginners buy sites and they end up with stuff that they wish they hadn't bought after they're 6 months into the journey and they've done a bit more research and they understand a little bit better. And I think I bought a bag of shit, basically.
But even experienced people can end up with a bag of shit.
Exactly. Yeah, I've ended up my fair shares of shit. To be fair,
it's okay. We're on Doug's channel. It's
yeah.
a little bit more adult on Doug's channel.
So yeah, I think it's a different skill set buying a website versus building one, especially if you're going to build one and do some of the work yourself, or you're going to fully outsource it to a team that already's been through it hundreds of times before.
Yep.
It's not a shortcut to some nice residual income.
No.
And I'll throw in, I think if you are new and you're trying to buy a site, like maybe hire someone to help you do due diligence and understand what you're buying and maybe like have a plan on what to do like once you buy the site. But if you're experienced, like you probably have your head around most things already. The other thing I'll throw in there is buying like a done for you site. I like those even less than an existing site. So a done for you site, unfortunately, I mean, I'm an affiliate for a few companies that do these, but I widely say don't get the done for you site unless you are experienced. A lot of times the marketing is better than what you're getting for the site. So you end up buying something that potentially could be successful, but it probably won't be unless you know what you're doing. And the unfortunate thing is I've seen multiple companies where they're essentially selling like the same niche site, with different keywords at the beginning. And let's say they find one, for example, Prithal is asking about the coffee niche. What are your thoughts? It's great. People love coffee. I'm drinking it right now. It's competitive like many of the other good niches out there. But the point is a company could have, 6 coffee websites, have a handful of keywords, build them all together, and then sell them. And if you're a beginner and you don't know, you're like, I got this great site. And then typically they try to sell you services on the back end. So I hate that business model, but people just won't not buy them. But I highly encourage you to not buy a done for you site unless you're experienced.
Well, I think Adam needs to reply on this because he does sell them, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I just want to caveat that I think this site, I know you're talking about where they'll build the site and they'll have the content live and you can just go and you can buy the website that's live. Like our dumb few site packages are different, and most of them are built on age domains as well. So
Right.
the method of keyword research, tomb raiding, is done independently for each site. And usually the keyword research is totally different because a domain with a DR rating of 40 and a domain with a DR rating of 25, for example, will have different target sites to go after and different sites of different types of content. So
Yours
I just want
are
to
custom. Yeah.
Yeah, they're custom. They're not pre-built. We've not got a single set of keywords that all coffee sites are built with, for example, because that's shit and horrible, to be fair. But
I think hopefully it was obvious I wasn't talking about Adam right in front of his face. So I wasn't talking.
You know who you're talking about.
I know who you're talking. I see the other sites out there. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I've seen them before.
Yeah. So okay, we'll hit a couple more questions here.
It's tricky. I mean, but it goes back to what you were saying earlier, Doug, just to quickly end that, is that there really isn't a shortcut, unfortunately. Everyone's looking for that shortcut, aren't they? You just give someone a ton of money and bosh, you got your site, it's flying. Happy days, let's go and have a cocktail. But, it does. I think all of us that have ever achieved something in terms of where we are with our businesses now and our lifestyle, it's because we put in a lot of blood, sweat and tears at the beginning. And a lot of people, they want to skip that bit and go straight to the good bit. And unfortunately, I've not seen a shortcut. I don't think there is a shortcut. A lot of people try and offer these shortcuts through ready-made sites or training courses or, whatever else. But really, if you do want to be a success and you do want to build something that's going to pay you dividends in the future, you're going to have to put that time in now.
And I don't know if this will show up really well. Maybe it'll refocus.
Well, it's the triangle of destiny.
You get two. I can't center it in here. Is time, quality, and money. So you can get two, usually. But you can't get all three. So, and I'm sure you could put in another component in there, maybe like experience. But generally, like, this holds true for a lot of things. And you maybe could do high quality, really short time frame, but you have to buy like an existing site. I did get an email from someone recently for the podcast, and he was like, people lose motivation sometimes, but if you buy an existing site that's earning money, then you're probably highly motivated to keep working on it because you see money coming in. Of course, you may need 50, 150K to buy a site with cash flow, and then that's a big outlay, much beyond our budget that we're talking about today. So okay. Shane says, solar panel niche, is that technical? I'd say yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I mean, because I'm I've done this a lot and I've probably done it wrong. A lot of my sites are very product-based. Popcorn, roof box, my pressure washer site, very product-based. But now I'm just not really feeling the product niches. A lot of people, they've said, I've seen in the chat today, coffee, what else was it? Vacuum cleaners, solar panels. Why not expand that? Solar panels should probably be a site about renewable energy, where you can talk about lots of things and also provide more information. Coffee, I don't know. I just wouldn't go near that kind of product. It's very restrictive. Why not have, I don't know, something about brewing hot drinks? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you know where I'm going here. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, a lot of people get drawn towards products as a kind of angle for coming into a niche rather than a topic or a subject or an area.
Yeah, as a rule of thumb, we try and stay away from products as much as possible. It's product specific. It's way too narrow. And also, it's no secret, we create way more informational based content sites now than we have ever done. I flipped my whole personal portfolio. 2 years ago, it was 80% affiliate and 20% display ad revenue. It's the other way around now. In fact, it's probably more than 80% display ad revenue these days. And I think it's easier content to create. It's 100% easier content to outsource. Would you rather, going back to the solar panel one, would you rather have, if you got to outsource it, someone write a technical article about, specific types of solar panels for the house where they have to do lots of research around the best ones and the pros and cons and stuff like that? Or would you rather have a roundup post of 20 different types of birds you can see in your backyard in Florida? Like, which one would you rather outsource where you don't have to have the technical knowledge for? And informational content leads itself, or display ad revenue and informational content leads itself for that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, and
Yeah, I 100% agree.
I'll throw in like a slightly. I agree with what you said, and that makes sense. If you are into, so Shane's asking about like solar stuff. So one of my friends, a couple of my friends, installed solar panels on their house. So they did a ton of research. They bought tens of thousands of dollars worth of materials, and they would probably have paid for like plans or a course or something like that to show them the calculations and steps. So if you want to do, you could create a website on anything and probably monetize it. So if I went that route, of course, you would have the product area, like the small personal solar panels and stuff, but you could also take it into a digital product route, courses, somewhere different where someone would potentially pay you hundreds of dollars per hour just to talk with them on the phone. And if you created a YouTube channel and a full brand around it, there's definitely a route there, and it's probably a lot safer than some of the simpler business models where it's just like popcorn or darts, right? Those are just
for sure.
fresh
But
in my mind.
I'd say in order to be able to do that and have any credibility in that, you'd need to have worked in the solar panel industry for 10 years and have a wealth of experience that you could package up and sell, which exactly, going back to Matt again, the reason his swim site is so good is because he worked with swimming pools since he was like 16 or whatever. And he had a wealth of experience. He knows the chemicals to put in because he's done it. I don't think I could just go, I'm going to set up a solar panel and start selling courses on solar panels because I've got no idea. You need to be in that industry. And I think it's great for people that maybe, they're running a solar panel company right now and they've had enough of staff and fitting solar panels, climbing around on roofs, whatever, and they want to take their experience and their knowledge and package it up. For sure, do YouTube, sell an informational product because you've got the credibility and the experience to be able to do that. But someone coming in cold, no.
Yeah, well, that's perfect, right? You're exactly making my point. Like if you have the skill set, like use your unfair advantage. And if you don't have the skill set, you're probably going to get crushed by someone who knows what they're talking about. So like find the thing that you care about and know about. Like I just did this whole rock project, and I probably talked to 25 different people. They're like, what'd you get? How'd you design it? Where'd you get the rock? How'd you plan this? Where the plant? Like 100 different questions. Like I could build a website on like that sort of landscaping. I only have like 3 weeks experience. Like I know just enough where like a beginner can be helped. Solar stuff is more complicated, but yeah, Alex, 100%. If you don't know what you're talking about, it's like you couldn't hire someone, you couldn't write it yourself. You'd just be like clueless. Yeah.
And I think a lot of people have got it. They may have been working for someone for last 10 years doing whatever. Maybe it's accountancy. Maybe you're a telephone engineer. Maybe you do whatever. You're going to have a load of work experience, and you want to quit your job, package up that stuff that put it on a site, put it on a YouTube channel, put it in an informational product, and you could do really well, and you'll have the credibility to back you up.
Yeah. Okay. And Prithal asks, I'm confused about vacuum cleaners and coffee. One's wide while the other is a quite niche. I'm not sure what you're asking, but I think Alex maybe talked about it. I don't know.
Yeah, neither of them look wide to me.
Okay.
And yet I would avoid both of them, and you maybe try and think of it from a different angle. As Adam has said, informational content is the way forward.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say, so just to disagree on the coffee one, at least, actually on both, I could come up with ideas. So on the coffee one, it could be like a coffee lifestyle thing. There are tens of thousands of coffee shops across the world, tons of networking opportunities, and a lot of ways that you could come up with informational content where maybe you feature a barista at a specific place that like does the the cappuccino pouring art, whatever the latte art. Like if you go deep enough into an area, like you can make it into like a lifestyle blog.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't even think you need to go that deep because you could just do best coffee shops in X location, and that would be expansive information content. You've got best coffee recipe or different types of coffee recipes, which is quite expansive of information-based content. Like most niches, you can find angles for quite expansive informational content if you look hard enough.
Yeah, vacuum cleaners, cleaning. How do I clean X? How do I get X stain out of this? So like we solved that one. Both are fine. All right, let's push through. I'm just like diving into all of them here. So how much of an impact can interlinking have? So Adam, you like Link Whisper. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's really important, and I don't know. Well, I understand why people don't do it because it's hard or it can be a little bit confusing. But for me, if you don't internally link some of your content, it's like why not? You spent the hard work and the time and the effort or the money and resources of getting a piece of content. It's part of the process. Like, why would you not do that? And in some instances, we've internally linked sites, and it has a really big impact. In other sites, it has very little to no impact that's actually measurable. So how much of an impact it has, I think, is site dependent. How much content you've got, how it's done, is it done the right way, etc. But it's a step. It's a step in the process. It's one of the things that need to be done. Like, you wouldn't write a piece of content and then not spell check it, for example. I feel like internal linking is just like another step of almost procedure that needs to be done for content.
Anything to add, Alex?
No. It's absolutely spot on. I think, but the quick answer to the question, yes, it's very important. It moves the needle.
Yeah, do it. Sully says, how to change for dead website, high quality backlink is possible. I'm going to say yes. I'm not 100% sure what he's asking, but I'll just say yes. Yeah, it's okay. I think, yeah. Sammy says, David says, I hate link building, wasted talent, enjoy the answers. Sammy says, I'm up to 95 articles. I've been aggressively posting since April. Some are beginning to rank. How long do you give most posts to rank before giving them an edit?
You've got to give posts content at least 6 months, I think, to find a natural position. Like I said, it depends on the site. If it's already established and you push content out and it ranks fairly quickly, that'll give you a better idea. But by that point, you probably wouldn't be asking this question. If you know you push out a piece of content, a good piece of content, and it ranks fairly quickly and it's on page 1 or page 2 within 2 weeks, probably wouldn't, you'd know that you would need to go and edit it after maybe 5 or 6 weeks. You wouldn't have to wait 6 months. So it's dependent on the site, which is a bit of a rubbish answer. But if you're asking the question 6 months, if you already know the answer to the question, that your content takes X amount of time to rank usually, then you've probably got your answer.
Yeah. I mean, on that, I just go through the content. What's ranking? What's bringing in traffic? Have a look at it. Do some searches. See what your competitors are doing. Have a look at their content. How is it better? How can you make yours better? Then you need to go back and edit and improve that content to beat or be better than the other results that are coming up on Google. If you're floating around the bottom of Google, what are those sites that are doing above you? What can you edit into your article to make it better than them?
Yeah.
And I'll just throw in another minor option. I would go ahead and start so we all give different answers, so it's completely unclear. So Sammy, I would potentially go ahead and start putting in the process. So you have 95 articles now. Let's say you keep going at the same pace. You're going to have like 200 articles, and then you're going to start, which is much more overwhelming than if you go ahead and get started now. Just have a system where like everything gets touched within 4 months of being published or something like that. So then you could just have like a revolving system where everything is refreshed on a regular basis. And it's easier now. If you have a lot more, it'll take longer. All right. And Bradbury is talking about the popcorn footer is a stealth PBN.
Yeah,
it is. I checked the DR of popcorn themes, and it's in the 70s now.
Yeah, I need to speak to Phil about that. It's not going to help us.
Yeah. Okay. Marcus says, when is it worth buying an expired domain? If a domain has a domain authority of 15 to 20, could it be worth it? I need to check the quality of the backlinks. Yeah, that could be worth it.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. And then solely another says Haro backlink for your old website, but not visible on Google and Website Exchange for high quality backlink. Is this another AI writer? Come on, guys. You guys are trolling me every day. All right. High quality backlink.
Right. It's got a Haro backlink for an old, yeah.
I don't know.
It's like a riddle.
And I don't. So Zach, I don't remember what I said. Doug fired from Niche Lifestyle Show. Adam says no comment. Oh yeah, from the
donkey.
That was good. I like that. All right.
Yeah.
Before we wrap it up, do you want me to show you some of the initial?
We want to see that last tab on the spreadsheet.
Yeah. Sorry.
Go ahead.
It
is really interesting. So
I forgot.
Right. If you can make me full screen again, Doug.
Cool.
So this,
God damn it.
can you guys see
All
this
right.
now?
No, I'm making
No.
it worse. I'm making it worse.
Come
Hold
on.
on.
Good
All
to
right,
see you
now
did
it's
the
just
washing up
me.
before you started streaming.
All right. Okay, there you go. There you go.
So this data up here is from just over 1,000 sites that we've fully analyzed so far, and we've broken them down. So it's 1,000 sites, and I'll caveat that by saying it's 1,000 sites that you would see for sale on Motion Invest or Empire Flippers, or they're not e-commerce sites, not SaaS sites. They're purely either e-commerce sites, predominantly Amazon affiliate sites, or they are informational content sites monetized with Ezoic, Mediavine, or Ahrefs. So this is not just a random list of 1,000 sites. These are actual sites that we would consider competitors. And this is just in one niche, by the way. I won't say the niche because I'm going to use this in my live stream tomorrow, and it'll give away the case study site that we're working on. But this is just in one specific niche, and we banded them together. This banding is of traffic levels, so sites that get between 25,000 and 50,000 visitors per month, according to Ahrefs. So this is mostly Ahrefs data, and the next banding is 50 to 150, 150 to 250. And what we've pulled out is the average domain rating for sites that are getting between 25 and 50,000. The average traffic in that range is 40,000. So some of them are down at 25, some of them are at 50, but the average is 40,000. And we also pulled out the number of pieces of content they have. So, and this is really surprising because most people don't expect that you need 400 pieces of content and a DR of 34 on average to get to 50,000 visits per month. This is low, by the way, because Ahrefs traffic, we know it's probably going to be quite a bit higher than that in real life. So take the traffic number with a pinch of salt, but I think that's really a really interesting stat. And then as we go up the level, so from 50 to 150,000, so to go from 40,000 to 95,000 sessions per month, on average, the sites in our data set have an average DR of 46, and the number of pieces of content has doubled to 800. So you've almost had to double your content to double your traffic. And then this is where it gets interesting then. So to go from 95,000 to 195,000, the DR rating doesn't change much. So you need less focus on link building. Most of them go from a DR 46 to a DR 49, but you need another 600 pieces of content if you want to make that jump from 95,000 to 195. And then here it gets even more interesting because this is where you can start to see like where and when you should be allocating resources. So to go from 200,000 to 350,000, the number of pieces of content stay fairly similar, almost exactly similar, but the domain rating increases. So the focus there on sites is much more domain authority and so on and so forth. And what we've done is pull together like an estimated revenue based on a $20 EMVP. So this is kind of what you need, the effort you need to put into or get to on average in this specific niche to start making roughly $1,200 a month and so on and so forth. And what that allowed us to do is start pulling together, okay, and this is just based off kind of niche website builder prices. You can get content from elsewhere and you can buy a domain and things like that. And this assumes you buy a domain that is in the DR34 range, for example, or buy a domain that's in the DR46 range. But you can kind of start to see then what that total investment looks like. And I thought this is interesting because we talked about your first 10,000, but how much do you really need if you want to fully outsource a project to get to certain levels? And in this space, on a basis of over 1,000 sites we've looked at, these are the kind of investment levels that you need to put in. So, you need 416 pieces of content, for example. Let me just pull these so they're closer together. And a domain, the DR34, is going to cost you about $3,500. 416 pieces of content, which on average are about 1,300 words long, typically, it's going to cost you $37,000. You're going to have invested 40 grand into this project to get to that point, to get a site which is a DR34 with 400 pieces of content. And that's going to start generating roughly, on average, there's outliers, definitely both sides, way above and way below, but on average, $1,200, which gives you kind of an asset value. So on that first rung of the ladder, you're kind of breaking even. You've got an asset that's generating money, but in terms of asset value to investment, I thought that was quite interesting that you would be breaking even on outsourcing. But then it gets more exciting the more you can put in, and you don't have to. You've got to have 77,000 up front, for example. You can use some of this monthly revenue to invest in this, and there's no time period over how this goes into it, but you can see the numbers change quite dramatically. To get to the next rung, on average 94,000, you need 77,000, but you've got an asset value of 100, and all the way up to you need 600,000 to invest, but you've got an asset which is worth 2 million. And we started testing this with actual sites we've built, and I'll share this. So part of our live stream tomorrow is a case study update. We're 8 months into a very aggressive site build project. It's about 850 pieces of content on the site. We've redirected in 6 age domains. The site started as a DR30. It's now a DR53. And we applied it. It's in this same niche, and we applied where it should be falling, like comparing it to the averages. And it's almost spot on, which is really cool to see that this data was an average of 1,000, and we've got an actual live website that we've been working on for 8 months, which falls almost spot on into the mean. Which, if you're interested in that, watch our show tomorrow, like a bit of a teaser. But I think this data is really cool to see and puts into perspective where people should be aiming for at different stages of their life cycle, of their website life cycle, and where they should be focusing on link building or content. One thing which I didn't do on you, and I should probably explain, is we deleted every site out of the list which didn't have 25,000 visits. So most site people starting off, this doesn't help them. Like, this only helps people who are aiming to get to that 50,000, as quickly as they can.
Got it. Yeah, this is super cool analysis. And
that's interesting. Yeah.
One thing that I am interested in, let me see if I can get this back. Okay. One thing that could be interesting, right? So that assumes like all informational, only revenue from display ads. If you had even just 10% of your content with affiliate, it could like dramatically shift it. And then it's 100%. like really different kind of, which, I mean, on all the sites that you were looking at, or all those information that they have no...
it's a mixture. It's a mixture of affiliate and informational. And the reason why we picked just $20 eMVP there is because it should be kind of like the base. If you've got affiliate content in there as well, most of those pages are going to have a lot higher RPM or eMVP.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's really nice. Okay. Let's see here. You guys good to run through the questions super fast? We'll just do like
I've run like another 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever they are.
Okay, cool. And I'll stick it on longer to answer more questions if we don't get through them all. Okay. We'll just do like 1 or 2 more here. Let me find where we were. Okay, sorry. Marcus asked about Alex knowing a lot about popcorn.
Yeah, I saw that question. I think that goes back to the point that we were talking about earlier, where there are some sites like popcorn and things like that that you can create without too much knowledge. It's very easy to find out how to remove popcorn from your teeth. You can just Google around, and the article that I've got the tutorial on, I just looked around. There was a lot of sites with like 8 ways, 7 ways. I combined them all together. I did an article with 12 ways. It outranks them. And just elaborate on a few of those points. You can put that content together without much. You don't need 10 years experience, in the popcorn industry.
Yeah. And Prethal mentioned something about soundproofing and some of the things he's suffering through. David has a good comment about technical details in PDFs that you could repurpose, and that would be great for link bait.
Let's go back to that soundproofing one. It seems like Prithol, I hope I pronounced your name right, you seem to be getting stuck on some very short-term keywords there. You're looking at soundproofing as a keyword, 32K. Yeah, that's very good, but I think you're going to struggle to rank for that. There's going to be a lot of long-tail stuff that you can write about. You're not going to be writing the same thing. How to soundproof a small room, how to soundproof a big room, how to soundproof for a guitar, how to soundproof for voice. I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot of different questions around soundproofing. Maybe you're just not looking down the long tail far enough.
Yep. Sounds good. Okay. And I think Zach says coffee industry would be great. B2B, cafe owners and roasters instead of drinkers. Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff you could do with it. Okay, cool. Adam, what do you have going on? It sounds like you got a cool live stream tomorrow, right?
Yep. So cool live stream. Like I say, we're going to cover some more of this data. We're also going to do an update on the case study. So we're 8 months into the case study. Site's just been approved for Mediavine, and got some little bits to share about different types of schema that we're testing, how that's going on the site, and we were going to have some age domain teardowns as well, which is cool. And if you missed our stream last week, it was with Mike from Below Average Blogger. It was a really cool stream. He came on and told us how he does his keyword research and all different things like that, and it was really well received. So if you missed that episode, go and check it out as well.
Cool.
What time are you streaming tomorrow?
3 p.m., 3 till 4, same as this one.
Okay. Because I'm going to stream tomorrow. I'll do a little bit earlier then. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want people to have to decide.
We have like scheduling issues. Yeah, Alex. Okay, so you're going live tomorrow as well. Maybe.
It's just the Thursday crew is back. We're going to be hanging out. I think we'll go through. I think I'm going to do some of the dart picks disavowing. I've been working on that. So if you want to join me, we'll be hanging out and just listening to lo-fi, working on our sites, and dig into that and see what's going on, and see if we can put together a disavow file, which I've never done before, but I'm sure it can't be that hard.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. It's just text. When's the Jasper video dropping you're talking about?
When I get around to editing it, I'm thinking probably early next week. It's quite a long one. I want to make sure it's right, because a lot of my Jasper videos tend to do pretty well, and my last one is from last year, so I'm hoping to replace that one. That's got like 50,000 views or something like that. So I want to do it right, and
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, I'm trying to do quantity over quality for my videos so far, so we'll see how it goes. Sounds like yours may do better. All right. For me, I have a great interview coming out tomorrow. So I do cover a lot of interviews where it's like, tens of thousands per month. Tomorrow, someone's earning about $100 per month. She got a lot of backlinks from Haro. So she actually worked in the PR industry, and she has kind of a passion site. So a little bit of a different approach, and she's not making a ton. So very approachable for what she has been doing, and kind of it's good for beginners to have a look, because she's worked really hard on it, and it could be something that, grows into something bigger. And she didn't really have any ideas that she was going to earn money from it specifically in the beginning. She just was interested in the topic area. So that'll be on YouTube, and it'll be on the podcast, which you can get links. Also, if you want notifications for these live streams that I do, at least on my channel, there's a link in the description where basically I only send out notifications when I go live. So that is in there. And if I planned further ahead, I'd be able to send it out every single Wednesday when it alternates channels, which I think, is it back to your channel next week, Alex, probably?
It must be.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Good stream. And see you guys later.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you. See you all.